Have you ever, like, just totally cracked up at the worst possible moment?
Oh, yeah.
Like when you know you should be serious?
Totally.
That happened to me the other day at the grocery store.
Oh, what happened?
So picture this, right? I'm in the aisle, and this guy is reaching for something on the top shelf. And as he's reaching, like, loses his balance, and a whole tower of canned tomatoes
Oh, wait.
comes crashing down.
Oh, no.
Canned tomatoes everywhere.
That's awful.
It was like something out of a movie.
So what did you do?
Okay, so I know I should have been concerned, right?
Right.
But I couldn't help it. I just started laughing.
You're kidding.
It was just such a slapstick moment.
Oh, man, I can only imagine.
But here's the thing. As I'm laughing, I see the guy's face. And he is mortified.
Oh, no, poor guy.
And it got me thinking about, like, why we laugh, even when it seems inappropriate.
Yeah, totally. It's like this weird thing we do.
Exactly.
It's not always about something actually being funny. It's like this social thing.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like a way of navigating these awkward situations.
Yeah, and that totally reminded me of that article we talked about. You know, the one about the science of laughter?
Oh, yeah, with the neuroscientist, what was her name? Sophie Scott?
Yes, Sophie Scott. Her research is so fascinating.
It is.
She talks about how laughter isn't really about humor itself.
Right.
It's more about, like, signaling something to other people.
Social connection.
Exactly.
I think she actually calls it a social tool.
Which makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, even when something isn't funny, we still laugh sometimes just to be polite or whatever.
Totally. It's how we connect with people.
And the crazy thing is it seems to be totally universal.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She found that laughter is the most universally recognizable emotion.
Even more than, like, fear or anger.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could be from completely different cultures, speak different languages, and you would still recognize a laugh when you hear one.
That just blows my mind.
It really makes you realize how deeply rooted laughter is in our biology.
It's like this ancient language we all speak.
I like that. An ancient language.
So if it's not just about humor, what is it about then?
Well, that's what makes Sophie Scott's research so groundbreaking.
Ah.
She's challenging the traditional view of laughter.
Right.
You know, the whole laughter equals humor equation.
And instead she's saying it's more about...
Our evolutionary history.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's about how we've evolved to connect as human beings.
I'm with you.
It's about social bonding.
Okay, so walk me through this social bonding thing. Because, honestly, I laugh all the time with my friends, but I've never really stopped to think about why.
Sure. So think about those little chuckles you share during a conversation.
Yeah.
Those aren't usually in response to, like, a perfectly timed joke.
Right, it's more like we're just vibing.
Exactly. And those little laughs, those are signals.
Signals of what?
Signals of agreement, signals of understanding, a way of saying, hey, I'm with you, I get it, without actually having to say those words.
So it's like a shorthand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A social shorthand that strengthens our bonds with each other.
So if I'm understanding this right, you're saying that laughter is less about the actual humor of a situation and more about finding common ground with the people around us.
You got it.
Okay, that's actually kind of blowing my mind right now.
It's a whole new way of thinking about something we do so naturally.
There really is. So, like, going back to my grocery store fiasco, maybe it wasn't really about the tomatoes at all.
What do you mean?
Maybe it was my brain's way of trying to connect with that guy.
In all the chaos.
Yeah, like a way of saying, hey, this is super awkward for both of us, right?
It's like a shared experience, even if it's a totally bizarre one.
And that shared experience brings us closer together.
Exactly. Even if it's just for a fleeting moment in the canned tomato aisle.
Wow. Okay, so laughter, a social tool for bonding, even when things are weird and awkward.
It's more than just a response to humor. It's a fundamental part of what makes us human.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got laughter as this, like, social glue, right? But what about those times when laughter seems to bubble up, even when things are, like, really uncomfortable or even painful?
Okay. I see where you're going with this.
Like, remember that part in the article we talked about?
One where...
Guy jumps into the frozen pool.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's brutal to watch.
It's just wince-inducing.
Totally. But then you see his friends start laughing, and it's kind of hard not to laugh along.
Exactly. It's like, even though we're witnessing something potentially harmful, laughter still kicks in as this way to, like, diffuse the tension.
It's like a we're all in this together kind of thing.
Right. Like, hey, no matter how much this hurts, we're a team.
Even if it means ending up submerged in ice.
Exactly. And it's not just about brushing off the pain either.
There's more to it.
There's this whole other layer having to do with endorphins.
Endorphins.
Right.
Like what runners get.
Exactly, like a runner's high.
So laughter gives us a natural high.
In a way, yes. When we laugh, our brains release endorphins, which act as natural painkillers.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what do endorphins have to do with social bonding?
Well, it turns out that endorphins don't just mask pain, they also play a key role in how we form social bonds.
So it's like this feedback loop.
Exactly. We laugh, we release endorphins, we feel good, and we feel more connected to the people we're laughing with.
Wow. So even in those cringeworthy moments, a good laugh can actually bring us closer together.
It's like our brains are wired to find connection through shared laughter, even if it's at someone else's expense.
Okay. But of course, we don't want to encourage laughing at someone's misfortune.
Right. There's definitely a line there.
But it is interesting to think about how laughter can be this force for good, even when things are tough.
Absolutely. It highlights the incredible adaptability of laughter as a social tool.
So we've talked about real laughter, spontaneous laughter.
Right.
But what about fake laughter?
Ah, yes, the polite chuckle.
The one you bust out when your boss tells a terrible joke?
We've all been there.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's still considered laughter, right?
It is. It's just a different kind of laughter.
So what's the difference between real laughter and fake laughter?
Well, Sophie Scott's research actually looked into this.
Really? She can tell when someone's faking it.
Well, sort of. She found that there are subtle differences between the two.
Like what?
For one thing, fake laughter tends to be more nasal.
Really? I never noticed that.
It's subtle, but genuine, uncontrolled laughter almost never comes out through the nose.
Huh. And what about our brains? Can they tell the difference?
Apparently so. Both types of laughter activate our mirror neuron system.
Mirror neurons. That's the whole monkey see, monkey do thing, right?
Exactly. It's how we empathize with others by mirroring their actions.
So even when we fake a laugh, our mirror neurons are firing.
Right. But here's where it gets interesting. When we fake a laugh, our brains also activate areas associated with analyzing other people's intentions.
So it's like our brains are working overtime trying to figure out why someone would fake a laugh.
Precisely. Which suggests that our brains are attuned to the authenticity of laughter, even if we're not consciously aware of it.
Wow, our brains are way more perceptive than we give them credit for.
Right. And it takes time to develop those perceptive abilities.
What do you mean?
Well, the article mentioned that our ability to accurately detect fake laughter might not fully mature until our late 30s.
Seriously? It takes that long?
It seems like it, which makes sense when you think about it.
How so?
Well, social awareness, especially when it comes to something as nuanced as laughter, is a skill.
And like any skill, it takes time and practice to master.
Exactly. The more we're exposed to different social situations, the more data points our brains gather and the better we become at reading those subtle cues.
That's so cool. But even the experts get it wrong sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely. Remember that story about Sophie Scott misjudging someone's laugh?
Because she already had a negative opinion of them?
Exactly. It just goes to show that we all bring our own baggage to our interactions with others.
And that baggage can cloud our judgment, even when it comes to something as seemingly objective as a laugh.
It's a good reminder to check ourselves and our biases because you never know when you might be misinterpreting a social cue.
Totally. Which makes you wonder what other social signals we're constantly misreading.
It's a question worth pondering, for sure.
Okay, so if we want to become better laugh detectives, where do we even begin? So we're basically trying to decode this secret language of laughter.
In a way, yeah. It's about fine-tuning our ears to those subtle variations in tone and delivery.
And paying attention to the context.
Exactly, because a laugh at a funeral means something very different from a laugh at a birthday party.
Right, so it's not just about hearing the laugh, it's about understanding the why behind it.
And the who.
What do you mean?
Well, the relationship between the laugher and the laughee plays a huge role.
Oh, totally. Like if my best friend laughs at my joke, I'm going to interpret that differently than if my boss laughs at my joke.
Exactly, because every laugh carries with it this whole history of shared experiences and understanding.
Wow. It's like laughter is this secret code that only people in the know can understand.
That's a great way of putting it. And the more we learn about that code, the more we understand about human connection.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Something as simple as a laugh can tell us so much about ourselves and our relationships.
It really does make you appreciate the complexity of human interaction.
Okay, so to wrap things up, we've talked about laughter as a social tool, as a pain reliever, as a way to bond and connect.
And we've talked about the differences between real and fake laughter.
Right. So what's the takeaway here?
Yeah.
What can we do to become more fluent in this universal language?
Well, I think the first step is simply becoming more aware.
Aware of.
Aware of how laughter functions in our own lives.
Like when we laugh and why we laugh.
Exactly, and who we laugh with.
And then once we're more aware of our own laughter,
we can start to pay closer attention to the laughter of others.
and maybe even start to decode those subtle signals.
And who knows? Maybe in doing so, we can deepen our understanding of ourselves and the people around us.
I love that. It's like this whole new world of social intelligence has just opened up to me.
It all starts with a laugh.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And to all our listeners out there, keep laughing and keep exploring the fascinating world around you. Until next time.